Startups get the party started. Startups get the party. Startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech. You know we got tacos and tech is on smash. For the green guacamole. Keep accountants counting beans. Contador cuentan frijoles. Founders trying to raise some queso. La vida San Diego. School of rappy, rapping fire. Tortillas round jalapenos. In these modern times of craft beer and coffee. My coding yoga posse. Fold the body, origami. We be surfing Coronado. Eating tacos el gordo. The tacos stand in puesto. Lucha libre and sombrero. Gotta shout out Tecos Angels by the ocean. Watch the sunset. La Jolla shows. Entrepreneurs trying to get funded. When San Diego Startup Week is popping in the summer. Oceanside to Tijuana. SDVG full of hustlers. From couch surfing to penthouses right on the beach. Tech leaders who believe stars are within reach. We interviewing founders who be shooting for the moon. Hashtag SD Tecos with your host, Neil Bloom. Come on.
Welcome to the Tacos and Tech podcast, where we discover cutting-edge San Diego technologies and the builders making it happen. I'm your host, Neil Bloom, San Diego's tech ambassador, and together, you're going to put a face to the name of today's tech leaders with our own blend of local lifestyle. I want to take a moment to thank our friends at Cox Business who have enabled us to tell these amazing stories of local leaders, technologists, founders, and funders. Cox is actually a 121-year-old family-run private company that thinks in terms of decades in connecting communities, a lot like we do in building a tech ecosystem. For years now, the local Cox Business team has helped us grow through partnering at San Diego Startup Week, SD Quick Pitch, and in celebrating our technical leaders at the Top Tech Awards. This October, we're very excited to kick off an entire month of virtual networking and learning at San Diego Startup Month, with talks on sales, marketing, data, people, design, development, and more. There's something for everyone in the startup and tech community. Drop in on the pitch competitions, get your LinkedIn reviewed, meet new colleagues, and listen in on investor panels on the future of deep tech. Check out the schedule and more at sandiegostartupweek.com, and thanks again to Cox Business for your partnership. Welcome back to the Tacos and Tech podcast. I'm your host, Neil Bloom, and I am thrilled to have so many of my friends and colleagues from the startup community here on the show today. I'm excited to have a big group conversation about something that's we're really passionate about and excited for in October, which is San Diego Startup Month, the Inventor and Investors Pitch Day, and have so many organizations coming together to make this event happen. So welcome all. Thank you guys for joining. What I want to kick off.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. What's happening in October? So let me briefly talk through like what's happening in October, and that'll set the stage for everyone here who's joining on the show. So October's shaping up to be quite a special month, San Diego Startup Month from October 1st through 30th. And just as we designed it from the beginning, this is supposed to be a platform for organizations that come together and showcase in front of a large community a great event that brings to everyone resources that are available. So one place, one time, meet a lot of people and meet a lot of resources all at once. And so we're thrilled to have with us members from San Diego Innovation Council, San Diego Tecos Angels, and Startup San Diego. So thank you all for joining in today. Do you want to each introduce yourself briefly and your organization? Tari, do you want to start?
Sure. So I'm Tari Suprapto. I'm the vice president of the board for the San Diego Innovation Council. My day job is as an opportunity scout for Elanco Animal Health, but prior to that, I was doing a lot of commercialization of technologies out of the Salk Institute in La Jolla, and that's how I became involved with the council in the first place.
Awesome. Great to have you here. Ruben, you want to introduce yourself too?
Sure. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone else. I'm Ruben Flores Saib, and I'm the current president of the San Diego Innovation Council, an organization that, along with Tari, I helped start 3-4 years ago. My day job is to be the Associate Director for Commercialization at the University of Southern California. The mission of the council, as you know, is to help startups derived from academic and research-based backgrounds succeed in collaboration with our colleagues here in the call.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruben. Caitlin, Ashok, great to have you both here. Do you want to introduce yourselves and Tech Coast Angels?
Sure. Well, while I don't like going after Ruben on a podcast after hearing his dulcet tones that seem like they're made for this format, I am Ashok from Tech Coast Angels, executive director and a recurring guest now on the Tacos and Tech podcast, Startups Get the Party Started.
And I'm Caitlin Wege. I'm the current president of Tech Coast Angels San Diego. Tech Coast Angels is a group here in San Diego. We're one chapter out of 4 across Southern California, and we have over 200 individual angel investors that work together to vet and invest in companies. And my day job is I manage my family's investment fund, Moody's Investments, and we invest in early stage, startup stage companies across North America. Thank you very much for having me. I guess this would be technically my second time on the podcast since we got together and talked all things space a couple weeks ago.
Yes, welcome back. Great to have you back again. Thank you. And last but not least, another multiple-time guest, Alexa-Rae Navarro from Startup San Diego. Welcome.
Thank you. Yep, at Alexa-Rae, Executive Director, Startup San Diego, an official 501c3 nonprofit acting as the gateway to the San Diego startup ecosystem. So we serve to connect, educate, and inspire founders and local talent to grow an equitable San Diego startup ecosystem and entrepreneurial community. So I think this is this number 3, I think, for me, Neil? I don't know, but thank you for having me.
Of course. Always. Thank you all. Well, I think what we're really excited to talk about is really a theme that's been going on in San Diego for a few years now is this, we're better together, the bridging of organizations together, where we share resources and share events, put our heads together and come up with even better ideas to help serve our innovation economy, our entrepreneurs, and our tech talent. And I think assembled here is a great story of that. We've got each of you who have had your own individual events and said, you know what, this year, a few things happened, like COVID, like some other things. Let's join forces. So, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's such a San Diego story. It's really been a force multiplier for us. So I thank you all for doing that. And having that wisdom to say we are better together. Ruben, Tari, do you want to talk through like what previous events were like for Innovation Council and what you were looking at this year that kind of led to this bridge to the to building this Inventors and Investors event together?
Yeah, we put the inventors first because entrepreneurs come first.
Yes.
Investors don't have a job without them.
Yeah. And I've got that mixed up too. Investors and inventors. Sounds like
it has happened to all of us, I think.
Yeah. Ruben, you want to start with the previous event, and I can kind of bridge into sort of how we then came, into this new one.
Sure.
It's kind of all combined together.
Yeah. Well, I want to say that, one of the main events that the San Diego Innovation Council conducts every year is the San Diego Innovation Showcase, which is a celebration of prior successes of academic startups being launched into the marketplace, as well as a demonstration of the pipeline of innovation arising from the academic research institutes in San Diego. So for the last 3 years, we put together a one-day full event showcase where we brought 30 to 32 companies to the table in different stages of development, most of them still on pre-commercial stage, but also started the day with one big success, one big example as why we're doing this. Why are we here together and why are we investing in these type of companies? The showcase is open to all of the academic or research intensive centers in San Diego. And it had been expanded over the last 3 years to the surrounding communities, including Arizona, Los Angeles, and Santa Barbara, and of course, Irvine as well. So it has been a great one-day gathering where we brought the startups, the entrepreneurs, the business people, inventors, and investors from Boston, from San Francisco, from Japan, from Latin America, to look at this pipeline of innovation in San Diego and tell the story of why investing in San Diego is great in terms of people and technologies. I'm going to pass it on to Tari now.
Yeah, and I should also add that this event that we've has sort of become the landmark event for the Innovation Council. It is very much in harmony with the roots of our organization, which is in the academic institutions. The founding members are from the academic institutions. The board is primarily representatives from academic institutions. And so it's one of the few public fora where we bring in things this early stage and basically bring them to light. And over the years, it's grown, much to our amazement, pleasant surprise, and we always endeavor to make it better. But Neil, as you pointed out, this year is a very unique year, and a lot of the topics of our board meetings was like, what are we going to do? And Neil and Caitlin, you were at our quarterly members meeting, and that was one of the topics that we brought up as an agenda for discussion, and saying like, we'd like to pivot, but we're not quite sure how. And both of you immediately spoke up, and that led on to a number of very efficient and very productive follow-on conversations. And that is how we all decided to join hands and work shoulder to shoulder, realizing that in these challenging times, it's much less challenging and much less scary if we do it together. Alexa-Rae, you came into the picture, in one of those subsequent conversations, and offered Startup San Diego as the framework. And then Caitlin and I and Ruben and Ashok, continue to talk further. And they too, like us, have their landmark event, and we're in a similar situation. So again, thank you guys for, coming to that San Diego Innovation Council meeting and speaking up and giving us the space and the forum to be able to do this. We're very, very happy and honored to be doing this with you all.
Yeah, and it's great to see that the event lives on, right? Even within COVID, like we still honor our each respective groups and we bring them together. Another event like that is Tech Coast Angels Quick Pitch event, which over the years has also partnered with other organizations. Just a few years ago, you partnered with Connect, with San Diego Venture Group, to create and Cox Business to create kind of an even bigger quick pitch event. Like, what were you guys looking at this year coming into to COVID? Like, what was Quick Pitch looking like for you, and how did you come to this decision to join hands as well?
Well, we were looking at making Quick Pitch bigger and better, like we do every single year. It was going to be the 13th year, and each of the last 3 successive years, it kind of reached escape velocity, and that was through the collaboration of first Tech Coast Angels and San Diego Venture Group, and now Connect, and then Cox Business coming in. So we were just able to ramp up everything on the production, on the audience, on the quality of the teams, on the cash prize money, which was getting into the 6-figure range. But of course, like everything else this year, that was turned upside down. So then we were faced with this situation where it wouldn't be practical or even possible to run a 500 plus person event at Qualcomm Hall, like we always do. So, we had to put our heads together and, think about what alternatives could be to kind of keep that same spirit of Quick Pitch alive, but through a different application. So yes, Quick Pitch is about pitches, like the name implies, and we get hundreds of companies that apply, and we pick 10 to be finalists, and then we fund some of those 10. But it's also about a lot more than that. The reason it's gotten so big, really the premier pitch event in Southern California, is because of the collaboration. So collaboration is kind of first and foremost in making an event like that successful. And then, it's also about the connections that are being made. So the TCA coaches to the companies, the judges to the audience, it's the entrepreneurs themselves getting to learn from each other. We wanted to still keep that streak going, and of course find a way to make it fun. And that's what Startup San Diego is great at doing. So taking our breathing in the problem and exhaling solutions like entrepreneurs do. We came up with this new idea in collaboration with the Innovation Council, and now several others that have joined on to support the effort.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. Great point about being able to pivot as entrepreneurs ourselves too. And a great showing of that. I think that one super pivot is to bring in Alexa-Rae, who not only started 6 months before an event that was originally supposed to happen, Startup Week in May, but obviously COVID and everything else happened during your very first months on the job. So take us through a little bit about that impact to Startup Week and Startup Month, and then this idea, realizing that it's a platform and you have all these other orgs that you can bring in to help, put together an even bigger virtual event.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a crazy 9 months it's been. Like you said, I started in December, and, really when you think about team formation and, getting into sync and workflow and, just hitting the ground running essentially was sort of the story of, January through March for myself. And, so I was very much getting my feet wet, and boom, here came COVID. But that's okay. Because, like we said, in true entrepreneurial fashion, you have to pivot. And I think with big challenges come amazing, amazing opportunities. And so, there was so much uncertainty January, March timeframe when, we went into initial quarantine. And so, yes, we had Startup Month in the pipeline, but we also had, a early stage workshop series that we had planned initially live. And so we had a lot of other, obviously, monthly programs. And so there was this big question of how is COVID and pandemic going to play out? What are we going to do? And so I would say we really got our confidence with, the whole virtual format, running our early stage workshop series that kicked off in April and ended in May. And so at that point, tremendous success, served over, 500 early stage entrepreneurs, great attendance. We really said, I think we can do this. I think we can take Startup Week virtual. And so we dove into, planning essentially. And so out of those initial planning discussions, we put together an internal task force committee with members of the community and the board. And we really arrived at the whole idea of Startup Month, right? We no longer have the time that we did earlier in the year to, sit in front of a computer screen for 8 hours a day for a week straight. It's just no longer in the cards. So really thinking about user experience and, what was going on in the daily lives of all of our ticket holders and potential participants. And so we really put together and created a much more palatable, really intentional experience over the course of the entire month of October. So really excited. And, I think it's absolutely incredible. This really has turned into a platform to really keep the community going and provides an opportunity to get all of our partners involved.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic to see how many community partners have come in, especially some of these organizations. And there's a lot of diverse partners and also events happening. Can you talk through specifically kind of the diversity of how broad we're talking to an audience, right? There's entrepreneurs, people who want to start, people who want to work at tech companies. There are investors. There's also, service providers. How does this event specifically kind of fit into everything based on who the audience is and who these organizations are and who they represent?
Yeah, absolutely. I could go on for hours about this. But I think first things first, this event specifically really does complement everything else that is currently slated, for the Startup Month experience. And overall, I talked about our mission in the beginning, but really to connect, educate, and inspire founders and local talent to grow an equitable San Diego startup ecosystem and community. And that's a really, really, really big mission. We cannot do it alone. I'd like to think of us as a full stack ecosystem enhancer, and partners are absolutely integral in that. And that's why our core values include community overall, give first, collaborate versus compete. And I could not think of a more perfect example that really embodies what Startup San Diego is all about, Startup Week, and now Startup Month. So it's really about bringing people together and community overall. So it's pretty incredible to have 4 institutional ecosystem organizations with, their own individual missions coming together to really sort of form the bridge for the community to get to the other side. So I think it's the most perfect complement, and I'm so excited to see it play out on October 9th officially. But like you mentioned, Neil, there's so much diverse programming in store for Startup Month, and I'm happy to kind of go into what one can expect. But I also want to, again, thank you for this opportunity to sort of talk more about Startup Month. So I want to ensure that we throw out a little discount code to all the Taco and Tech podcast listeners. So I'm throwing out listeners, Taco Pod 30 is your $30 off discount for a ticket to Startup Month. So Neil, make sure I send you that code. But like you mentioned, so there is something for everyone at Startup Month. So whether you're a founder, an investor, someone who works at a tech company, an executive, government representative, all of our conference tracks are split up into 8 functions-based tracks. So founder, sales, customer, marketing, data, people, design, developer. There's so much content happening. And so I would recommend, first things first, you check out the schedule. So schedule is now live, which we're very, very excited about. San Diego StartupWeek.com/schedule. You'll be able to filter all of the content by track. And so highly, highly recommend you build out your experience, spend some time to get everything on your calendar. So some things not to miss that I really want to point out. Obviously, the pitch competition that's happening on October 9th. But also we're doing a really incredible, we're literally going October 1st through October 30th. So the kickoff event is happening October 1st from 4 to 6:15. We're going to have some awesome keynote discussions, fireside chat panel, as well as something I'm really, really excited about. Haven't spoken publicly about this yet, but a party in the Verbella platform, which is a completely immersive virtual world. So we're going to be, chatting together, experiencing content in the first part of the kickoff, and then jumping into a virtual world where you'll be able to operate an avatar and engage in some really fun experiences that we have lined up. We're running a Startup Month incubator that's going to be overseen by our brand new 6 entrepreneurs in residence. So really focus on supporting early stage curious founders, go from idea to launch throughout the month of October. We're going to be doing pitch feedback shows with live investors, Shark Tank style. We have an entire day focus on supporting talent. So Career Incubator Focus Day brought to you by Pet Desk, where we'll be doing live LinkedIn teardowns, live mock interviews, as well as professional mentorship. And we're closing out October with some amazing keynotes, as well as another Verbella party. So much happening. I know I just spoke for about 10 minutes straight, so I'm going to turn it back over to you. But remember, Taco Pod 30 is your discount code.
That's awesome. Thanks for doing that, Alexa-Rae. So much going on. So excited. Everyone clear your calendars for the month of October. We're just going to all be hanging out virtually like this. And really excited. I think something you touched on, the diversity is absolutely the focus, and something that we don't always focus on are student entrepreneurs and, kind of academic and research entrepreneurs, people who who kind of are working on technologies while they're, working on learning, working on developing new aspects of the day. And Caitlin, you sit on a few different organizations, some related to schools. You mentor a bunch of students, I know, at the Lavin Center and others. Like, what does this event mean? What does this Inventors and Investors Pitch event mean for students to have access to investors and others like this?
Yeah, well, it really means a lot. And just going back to what Alexa was saying about bridges, like you said, I do sit on the boards, or I'm involved with quite a few organizations around town, whether it's nonprofit and then the university. So Lavin and Zip Launchpad, I sit on their advisory board and I mentor. I'm also, somewhat involved with USD and somewhat involved with UCSD, and then of course Tech Coast Angels, and also Startup San Diego. So just having that overview of the whole community, and then going into COVID and focusing on resilience is really being able to have that oversight is how I help to try to connect the dots on getting this, helping form this idea of the Pitch Fest. And part of the reason why this is so important is, like you said, a lot of the students and the other companies that have technologies that are spinning out of the universities are usually very focused on whether they're at school or just, working on the research, and aren't necessarily out in the community applying for pitch events like the John G. Watson pitch event that we have. I mean, we get over, I know Ashok can probably correct this, like 200 applications, and it's hard to sift through all the noise. And a lot of the really cool innovations that are coming out of the academic institutes here in San Diego sometimes don't get seen through the noise for those kinds of pitch, or they're not, like I said, they're not pitching. And so for this, partnering with SDIC, we're able to focus in directly on the innovations and the technologies coming out of the academic institutions and the students. And so, this is very important about shining a light on, all that goes on in San Diego and in those institutions. And so I'm really excited about being able to kind of focus on this and really highlight that and get, the public, the community, the economy, and all of the funders kind of focusing in on this and shining a light. And then, of course, being able to partner with Startup San Diego and leverage their platform, right? Like Ashok said, on a typical year, we're able to market this. We're able to have John G. Watson in person and sell all of these tickets. And right now we're in a virtual world, and everybody knows there's so much going on in terms of virtual events. It's almost like, overload. And so then to be able to partner with Startup San Diego's month, then we get to help leverage the audience and expand, hopefully globally, the attendees to focus in on all of the wonderful innovations here in San Diego and Southern California. So I'm very, very excited this opportunity for our students and our academic research institutes.
Yeah, it's a great point. Something else that TCA and Connect have done in bringing Quick Pitch together is the idea that it's not just a one-time event, but there is coaching that goes and happens leading all the way up. Mm-hmm. So you want to talk a little bit about kind of what that coaching that you're bringing to this event with? Like, what's that like for applicants over the last month and leading up to October's event?
Sure. Well, while we did have to re-engineer some aspects of Quick Pitch, like the live Qualcomm Hall showcase element, there are other aspects that we didn't want to throw out, in the process of that remix. So the coaching, which happens between the finalists and usually it's TCA investor members for, in the case of Quick Pitch, it's often a month leading up to the event. Is one way for not only the entrepreneurs to refine their pitches. And, I see from, point 0 to 0.5 in that, say, 30 days, there's an exponential, improvement in the final pitches. And it's just, the iteration process of doing any kind of pitch. So that's a big part of it, is we help them, polish up their 2-minute, presentation and deck. And we're continuing that same playbook, here, since at the end of the day, Inventors Investors is still going to be, a cohort of finalists pitching, on a virtual stage. But the other benefit is the relationship building that happens between the coaches and the entrepreneurs. So we have, a number of cases where the TCA investor coach has gone on to then lead the deal for that company within TCA in a subsequent financing. Quick pitch is a large cash prize. It's in the $100,000, range, now every year. But TCA has invested in the $5 million range in quick pitch companies over the past few years. So the real prize is the introduction and the relationship that you're building with, real investors. And that's both the TCA members as well as some of the judges who, let's say, are also getting exposed to startups. And that's part of the reason that they're choosing to judge, is to get that first look and then to, start connecting those dots in the line, to fundraising.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. It's more than just this event. It's really opening up to a community. And another piece of that is the picking of the judges, right? Picking the right people that come together, which I know both SDIC and TCA came together to do. Do you want to touch on that, Tari, Ruben, a little bit, and about kind of how you selected judges to put in front of this group of finalists?
Well, we...
go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead. Just got it real quick, and go ahead. Feel free to jump in, Tari. We really, in this case, we really felt we could rely on the expertise that Tech Coast Angels has in driving the pitch event, the quick pitch, competition. The traditional format of the San Diego Innovation Showcase hasn't been much of a judge and pitch. It's been more creating awareness and bringing all the elements of the ecosystem together without judging and letting the community choose who they want to work with, right? In this case, we banded with TCA, and, we all thought about who are the experts, who are the people who have seen companies, invested in companies, selected companies in the past. And at least from the San Diego Innovation Council perspective, we stayed away from, selecting any individual organization with that actual real experience in investing. Tari, sorry, you want to go ahead and add to that?
Sure. In terms of the actual judge selection, it was very much a brainstorming in terms of thinking, who who would be the best people to come to an event like this, keeping in mind that the pool of finalists were going to be drawn from a larger pool that started out being initially curated by the San Diego Innovation Council. So going back into the academic research institutions, past showcase, presenters that, left positive impressions, right? So, so in terms of how we, came up with the judges that we will have at Inventors and Investors is very much a joint effort.
I just want to add to that one of the assets that the people in the San Diego Innovation Council board bring to the table is the relationship with early stage venture capital investors who we typically look and talk to invest, in a Series A or seed, round, even for the type of deep tech innovations that arise from the academic institutions. So I think that was, something that both TCA and us it was a common language to speak, that we could combine our efforts.
Yeah. But is there anything specific? I know you can't release names of finalists yet. You're probably still weeding it down, but can you give us some hints on either some industries represented or any little sneak peek?
Sure. I think what we can comment on at this stage is that one of the things that we as a collective group were striving for was to get a pretty balanced mix, but driven first and foremost by quality, right? But the balance of the various industry fields. So you'll see a mix of biotech, clean tech, high tech, devices, and also diversity of the entrepreneurs, which is very much resonant of the times that that we live in. So there was a great deal of thought that went into the selection process from the pool of applicants. And we were very pleasantly surprised to see the enthusiasm that we got from the community. I think we opened up applications and we didn't have a huge window of time, and we got a pretty high number. So it made our job a little bit more difficult, but again, for something that is a first of its kind like this event, it's nice to see it get momentum this quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to have so many organizations, like Connect, TCA, others who can promote it as well and pull in their audience too, alongside yours. Alongside what Ashok mentioned around the follow-on potential investment from the relationships that are getting built, like what else have you seen come out of the showcase and that you hope happens, for these entrepreneurs and the community in general from an event like this?
Well, what we've seen is, partnerships. We've seen, seasoned business people kind of engaging with some of these early stage deep tech startups and becoming part of their teams and helping them succeed. We've seen investments happen. Last year at the San Diego Innovation Showcase, we had two in the spot, $2 million investment offers to a couple of companies that were presenting. So that was really a crescendo that, came after 3 years of doing this event. But really the connections within the community of the service providers, the investors, the entrepreneurs, that it's hard to predict where they're going to go, right? But, we're seeing that this event, the community has an appetite and continues to ask us to have it. Especially, again, our focus is academic-based startups, and academic-based startups often have a team of folks who are doing it for the first time. They don't have the experience, right, that serial entrepreneurs have. And we're aiming to bridge that connection with folks like, TCA and others who've done it a number of times, who can come in and mentor our early stage deep tech startups coming from academic centers.
Yeah, it's quite the platform to put them on. So again, thank you all for coming together and doing that. I want to ask Alexa-Rae a little bit about just the month in general. You gave us a little bit of sneak peek on some events. What else can you give us from a tips for all of us sitting at home watching? Like, what's the way that we can make the most of the month? Give us a little, little tips on how to do Startup Month right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I kind of laid out before, I think, it's a month long. So a lot of different experiences and events happening. So I would say, dig in, start with the schedule first, and really build out the entire month to ensure that, you are, calendaring out the sessions and regardless of track that you're most interested in, getting it on your calendar so you're not missing, sessions throughout the week. We will be on Startup San Diego's end sending out updates on a weekly basis to just another reminder to miss some of the great content that's happening that specific week, but really focus on some time, spend 30 minutes or so just building out your experience to make sure you get the most out of the month. And like I said, there's Monday through Friday, starting October 1st through the 30th, there's something happening. So, we're really excited about, what's in store, and have fun and also be bold. I think be bold because there's a lot of unique experiences that we're able to bring to the community based off of the platforms that we have that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. And so, there's going to be a lot of show styled content. And so where we're really leveraging bringing people up from the crowd onto the stage. So I would say, be bold, be brave, right? Like if you're participating in the pitch feedback session, volunteer, to do your pitch in front of the investors live and just welcome the feedback, right? So I think it's going to be a really fun experience. So I hope everybody really enjoys. And I think one last thing I'd like to say is just and extend really is major gratitude to all of our partners and sponsors, because without them, this would not be possible at all. Specifically, City of San Diego, one of our largest supporters behind Startup Week and now Startup Month. And so just embracing us pivoting into this virtual startup month has been absolutely incredible. And there's, countless other partners, including all of the local universities this year. So, USD, SDSU, UCSD, super proud of that. And I think tying in perfectly to the pitch event with the strong, academic tie. But others, Innovate 78, Logic Boost Labs, Silicon Valley Bank, AWS, could not be possible without all of those partners, as well as our community partners. So we're just really grateful and excited to hear what everybody thinks about the experience.
One last thing about that is that you really thought about the networking piece a lot. And do you want to talk about just how Run This World is going to work and what that environment's like? Because it's not just a conference on Zoom, right? You don't just log into Zoom and then drop off. What's that experience going to be like for everyone throughout the month?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you pointed that out, because that's actually something that it was one of the biggest factors in deciding sort of our platform for the conference for Startup Month, is ensuring that we have something that provides the opportunity for engagement in a creative way, right? Not just thrown into a giant Zoom session with 50 other people. So Run the World has the capacity to do one-to-one individual networking sessions. So we're going to be doing lots of networking throughout the entire throughout the entire month. And so essentially, depending on, which cocktail session you decide to join, you'll be matched and paired on a 5-minute basis with somebody from the community who's also participating in that event. So you'll have time within the platform, 5 minutes to connect, chat, discuss, and then within the platform directly, you have the ability to directly connect with their profile so that you can follow up after the networking session directly to engage one-to-one, continue the conversation, or even set up actual meetings within the Run the World platform. So after those sessions, the platform will send you a wrap up of, say the 7 or 8 people that you connected with, during the 45-minute networking session, to provide you really clear next steps to how to continue those conversations. So that's one way we're doing networking. In addition, I mentioned the Virbela virtual world platform. So we will be having sort of a social event on both opening day and kickoff day, with a lot of great opportunities to actually connect one-to-one in an avatar format, of course. But we've got some really unique activities planned out, and attendees will also have access to, within the virtual Virbela world, we will have a Startup San Diego team suite. So essentially it looks like a giant co-working space complete with a boardroom and meeting rooms. And we're going to be doing some really exciting engagement experiences, office hours, one-to-one mentorship within that Virbela team suite. So definitely networking opportunities there as well.
Awesome. We're really excited about that. San Diego Startup Week.com is the domain. It's San Diego Startup Month. The Inventors and Investors Pitch event is October 9th. And if we're going to have this group put on a pitch event, then we're going to have a taco rapid fire pitch event right here. I'm going to put you all on the spot for the Tacos and Tech podcast to quickly lay it on me. What's your favorite taco? Starting with Tari.
All right. Mi Ranchito in Rancho Penasquitos. Highly recommend the salmon tacos.
Ooh, good one. Alexa-Rae?
Okay, plead the fifth, just like on the first Tacos and Tech Pod interview. Grandma would kill me if I didn't say her tacos at Pete's Camp in San Felipe, Baja California.
Okay. All right. We'll do it for Grandma. Ashok.
I feel like if Grandma heard my answer, she would also probably slap me for not saying somewhere in Baja California, where a lot of my family's grandmas is at. But I like blue water seafood in good old fashioned Little Italy.
Awesome, Caitlin.
Yeah, so I'm a vegan, and Taco Stand actually has a delicious grilled cactus taco. And I think, haven't been in a while, Puesto does, or they used to do, a fried avocado taco. And those are both fabulous. So it's hard to choose between the two.
Good ones. And Ruben?
Well, if I could, I would go down to Ensenada, the home of the original fish taco. But in the absence of that, I'm happy to go to Cotijan here in Encinitas and have the the adobada taco. It's amazing.
Good ones. We're missing all of them. We'll have to do some Postmates and do a little taco tasting from all of them to our houses.
It's making me really hungry right now.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm like, it's that time of day too. So
I know it is. Well, thank you all so much. Thanks for jumping on to talk more about your passion of putting this all together. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for everyone to join in. And we'll make sure in the show notes we add the discount code as well. Thank you, Alexa-Rae, for that. But thank you all for not just this event, but what you're doing year round for the community. So I really appreciate it. And we will see you at San Diego Startup Month shortly.
See you then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Big shout out to everybody, and thanks to Connect who couldn't make it, but thanks to Mike Ren and the team in Connect for helping us.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Mike.
Friend to all. We appreciate it very much. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on the Tacos and Tech podcast with Neil Bloom. Thanks again to Cox Business for helping make this possible by expanding the reach of the San Diego tech ecosystem. Big shout out to School of Rap for our rad intro music, and thanks as well to Nest Podcast Network, where we are recording live inside their studio at Nest Co-working in Bankers Hill. You can find Neil Bloom on Twitter at Neil Bloom, as well as Fresh Brewed Tech and Tacos and Tech Pod on Twitter too.
Startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech. You know we got it. Hey. Startups get the party started.